Hey all, welcome to Cloud Hub. My name is Ramesh Tresami. So today in this video, we are going to see uh, how to manage the life cycle of your storage accounts. So most of the people would know how to create a storage account and how to manage the access tiers in your storage account, right? So actually there are three access tiers that we have in the storage accounts. One is the hot access tier, and another is the cool access tier, and another is the archive tier. So you could see here, if you wanted to change the tier, you have hot, cool, and archive tier. So what is the difference that brings uh, in these tiers? So hot tier is gives you the maximum throughput to access your data, right? Next comes the cool tier, so wherein the frequently accessed data will be pushed to the cool tier. And comes the archive tier. So if you're not going to handle or utilize the data for some period of time, it's not going to be frequently utilized. So those data could be pushed to the archive tiers. So these are the basic tiers that we have in Azure. And I think everyone would be more familiar with these types of access tier. Okay, so coming to a particular use case, okay, consider you have a use case, and there's a company which brings in 1 TB of data per month to their storage account. Okay, so for it has 6 months of data, which is 6 TB of data in a storage account. So all the data are in the hot tier. Okay, but the application or the microservices which is consuming this data from the storage account takes only the last 1 month of data to showcase any of the analytics or dashboards, right? So, and the rest of the 5 months of data are in the hot tier. So it is not required. So the best way, how do you optimize the cost is you can have the least last 1 month of data in the hot tier and push the rest of the 5 months of data to the cool or archive tier. In such a way, you can minimize most of your Azure cost, right? If your data is in hot tier, it is really, um, it's costly. So what you can do is, if you're not going to utilize those data for, right, let it be 35 days or to 180 days, right, you can push the data to the archive tier. So how do you do it? So do we really actually have a service that's being provided by Azure? Yes, absolutely. We have a service that's being provided in Azure, which helps us to manage the life cycle of the storage account. Okay, so how do we do it? It's called, so if you go to data management, there's an option called LifeCycle management. So if you get in here, you can create certain rules, and you enable, once you enable that rule, it automatically takes care of the lifecycle management of your storage account, right? So I already have a rule created. Maybe I can go ahead and create another rule. So before that, I will go into my storage account and see, do we have any files there, or else we can try to push in some files if it doesn't have anything. Get into the storage account. I have a container created. I have a file. Maybe I'll try to upload another file here. Upload a test file. It's uploaded, right? So currently I can't bring in the use case scenario here, because I can bring in the 1 TB of data and push the rest of the items to the uh, the cool tier or the archive tier. So with this existing data, I'm trying to help you understand how can we create this lifecycle model in this scenario. Okay, so I have the data in my container. I go to the lifecycle management and add a rule. So I'm just creating a rule. So, and you can scope your rule. So apply rule to all blobs in your storage accounts. And the blob type I'm just giving as block blobs, and blob subtype as base blobs. And go next. Here comes the conditions that you can provide for your containers and your storage accounts, right? So if base blobs were lost, modified, or created more than, okay, I'm just going to give 1 day. Okay, so um, After one day, the rest of the data, will be moved to the required scenario. Like let it be, I'm just going to push the data to archived here. So if base blobs were last modified or created more than one day ago, I'm just going to move that to the archived here. So there's also, it you can add few more conditions to your rule in case if it is required based on the project requirement. Okay, so in for this simple scenario, I'm just going ahead with this rule. I'm going to add it. So once you add it, so you could see the rule is enabled, right? But if you go to the storage account and see, the rule will not get impacted straight away. So it will take few um, amount of time to get this implemented. So if you see a new or an updated policy may take up to 48 hours to complete. So you should, once you create this rule, you need to wait for 24 to 48 hours to get this impacted, right? So probably after tomorrow, maybe after one day, you can go ahead and check whether your rule has got been implemented. So in this way, what you can do is you can manage your storage accounts lifecycle and reduce the cost to at most very less, right? So this is one of the and uh, very good feature that's been provided by Azure to manage your cost. And I have seen a lot of people asking few questions like, how do you manage? See, yeah, we are able to move from the hot to cool or to archive. So in case if I want to bring the data back from archive tier to the cool tier and or to from the archive to the hot tier, so how do I do it? And yes, we can do it. There are certain API calls that's being certain uh, API calls that's being provided by Azure. We can utilize that, or else you can connect your storage account to the Azure Storage Explorer. And when you connect to your container or whatever your storage account, you can just right click and change your access tier from the archive to cool or the hot. That will be pretty much easier for you to move from the archive to cool tier or the hot tier. So this is how we manage the life cycle of a storage account. I think this would help most of the folks on how to manage the storage accounts, right? Thank you. Thank you for watching.